All right, welcome to day number 2 of the wedding planning workshop. I'm so happy that you are here. And today we're going to talk about something that I'm pretty pumped about. It's an exciting subject, and it's my favorite places for you to celebrate your wedding and your honeymoon. Now, I do recommend that you pick maybe 2 beach destinations and 1 mountain destination, because clients often like to experience both settings. And what's pretty crazy about Costa Rica is in a few hours you can drive to a totally different climate. So you could be somewhere in the Guanacaste province where it's really dry, and then drive maybe 4 hours to like Monteverde or La Fortuna and experience a completely different climate. It's going to be raining and cold, and the activities are different, the culture is different. It's such a unique experience in both locations. Now, another place is if you want to do 2 beach areas, I'd recommend doing maybe Tamarindo or the Papagayo Peninsula or Nosara. Those are in the Guanacaste province. And then I would head down to the mid-Pacific region to like Uvita or Manuel Antonio and experience one of those beach towns too, because they're very, 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 very different. Let's get into it. I have a PowerPoint that I am going to go over, and I have made some points for you. So let's get into it. Alrighty, sharing my screen. All right, how do I make me disappear? I think I can. Hold on. Hide video panel. Okay, I think I disappeared. And now I need to make this big, present. Okie dokie, top wedding locations in Costa Rica. All right, so Guanacaste province. So I'm from Seattle, so one of the things that I like best about Guanacaste is the dry climate. It also has its own airport. So the Liberia International Airport, LIR, is located there. So you want to fly into there instead of the San Jose Airport, SJO, which is located in the capital. You can fly into San Jose, but it's about a 4 to 5 hour drive. And I do recommend taking a shuttle if you're going to drive, or you can rent a car. But if you just landed after a long flight, you're not really going to be super pumped to drive across the country, but it is totally up to you. Guanacaste is a popular area for weddings. That's one of the reasons that in particular that I live in the Guanacaste area. And it is known well for its beach and surf culture. So back in, I think it was 1994, Endless Summer 2 came out, which is a surfing movie, and it put Tamarindo on the map. So you'll meet a lot of surfers in Tamarindo that have told you that they've been there since the mid 90s because of that particular movie. So the Peninsula Papagayo, it is located in the northwest region of Costa Rica, and it's easily accessible due to its proximity to the airport. And one of the cool things is that a shuttle only takes about 45 minutes to get there. This is where you're going to find the high-end luxury hotels and accommodations. So as you know, I used to work for the Four Seasons, and that is located on the peninsula, as well as the Andes Papagayo. And then they just recently built the, it's the Planet Hollywood, which is an all-inclusive. And if you're looking for venues on the beach and venues with ocean views, this is where you want to go to. So in addition to those hotels, there are a few luxury villas. And when I say luxury, I mean ultra luxury villas. That's really the only thing that's on this peninsula. It's very safe. It is a jewel in the country of Costa Rica. So you will find venues on the beach and with ocean views out there. But I do have to say that If you want a lot of shopping, if you want a lot of restaurants, then you do want to head for another town. So this would be a nice place to go to really relax, enjoy the beach, and take it slow. All right, Tamarindo. So this is about an hour and a half from the airport. And it's just, I would say it's 2 hours south of Peninsula Papagayo that I was just talking about. Like I mentioned, it was in that surf movie, so it is great for surfing. If you're an avid surfer, those people go to Langosta, which is connected to Tamarindo. It's the beach right next door. And it's a very lively town. So there are some fun parties at night, there's some fun bars and clubs, and there are a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of shopping, there's a lot to do. It is a bit busy. I don't know how busy it's going to be going forward after the virus, but it is very lively. And one of the awesome things is that there are a variety of venues and hotels. So it's really convenient for my clients to plan their weddings and for me to find them hotels and things to do. And one of the reasons that couples like it is because they don't have to worry about entertaining their guests because there's so much happening. There's just a lot to do. So if you want activity, shopping, and restaurants, this is your spot. And it's also pretty easy to get to the other local beaches. So Playa Grande isn't too far away. Brasilito, Potrero, Flamingo, Las Catalinas. What would be south of there? Playa Avellanas, Negra. Those ones that I just mentioned, you need to take a shuttle or rent a car to get there. For the most part, like Playa Grande, if you wanted to, you can take a little boat across the estuary, but then you'd have to walk for a pretty long ways. Anyhow, there are lots of beaches nearby. So if you want a beach hop, this is a good base camp for that. Playa Conchal, Playa Flamingo, and Las Catalinas. So this is south of the Papagayo Peninsula, and it's just north of Tamarindo. And each is a very small town, but it has a more remote and private feel to it. It's a little bit more local. And it's a little bit slower than Tamarindo, for example. And you're going to find venues that are on the beach and a few with ocean views too. All right, so Nosara is one of my favorite beach towns in Costa Rica. So it's about 2.5 hours away from the Liberia airport. And the thing is, it's not very accessible due to unpaved roads, which is why some don't, or some choose not to have their wedding here. But the reason that it's so fantastic and one of my favorite beach towns is because it is so charming. It is hard to get to. So it's a little bit slower. It's not as busy. It's not as lively. It's a little bit more chill. And everything there is pretty eco-friendly and very healthy. So if you are gluten-free or vegan or just very into health in general, this is an awesome spot for you. It is a surf town. This is a surf mecca, and the waves are big, and people really love it. And one of the things that I really like about Nosara is back in the day, I don't know when investors got together and decided or made rules. I don't know the full story, but they decided that they would not allow people to build on the beach. So when you are on the beach, it is totally virgin. You do not see any restaurants, you don't see hotels, and it's a nice change from a lot of the other beach towns that have bars and restaurants right there on the sand. And it is one of the world's few blue zones. So what is a blue zone? It is where people are the happiest and live the longest. It's super interesting. I recommend that you Google blue zones and check it out. Santa Teresa. So I'd say Nosara and Santa Teresa tie for my favorite spots in the country. So Santa Teresa, though, is very inaccessible. It has difficult roads. They are unpaved, and a 4x4 is 100% required. You have to rent a 4x4 vehicle. So it's on the Nicoya Peninsula, but it's part of the Punta Arenas province. So if you look on a map, you'll see that it is all the way down south. So you can either drive up and around down the Nicoya Peninsula, or you can take a ferry there. So it's about 5 hours from the Liberia airport, or it's about 5 hours from the San Jose airport, plus a ferry ride. So, like I mentioned, not so easy to get to. And it is charming, and it is a small surf town with freaking stunning beaches. It's similar to Nosara in the, I guess, in the way it looks and sort of the vibe. It's a really cool place. It's excellent spot to relax, kick back, and unwind. The Mid-Pacific region. So this is the Punta Arenas province, and it's located in the Mid-Pacific region and the southern tip of the Nicoya Peninsula. So, but what in general, when I talk about it, I'm referring to the part that's in the mainland of Costa Rica. So it's located 2 to 4 hours from the San Jose airport. I believe Jaco is the closest beach town to the San Jose airport, which is why it's pretty popular for a pretty popular vacation spot for those that live in the capital. And what's pretty cool is it has well-paved roads and it is easy to get to. So it's got lush green jungles and golden sand beaches. However, it does receive a significant amount of rainfall during rainy season. So Jaco and Herradura. So I would not recommend Jaco for your wedding or for your honeymoon unless you guys like to get down and you like to party. It is a booming, lively party town. A lot of people like Herradura better, which is right next door because it's quieter and a little more subdued. And like I mentioned on the first 2 points, it's really close to San Jose. But I do have to say, one of the positive things, I'm probably not selling it well. I just really like these smaller, charming beach towns personally. But what's really cool about it is there's a lot to do. There's a lot of shopping. There are a lot of restaurants. There are a lot of bars. There are a lot of activities. So if that's what you're looking for, then this is your spot. Manuel Antonio. So when I first moved to Costa Rica, I was determined to stay here. Everyone told me I would never get a job. So I went to Manuel Antonio for a month and I learned how to become an English teacher. I never ended up using that English teaching certificate that I have, but I did get to spend a month in this beautiful little town. So it is famous for its national park, which I highly recommend that you go to. If you do go, I recommend that you hire a guide. It's really only like $20 or so per person. It's really affordable. You hire them right outside the gates of the park, and you need to go right when they open or very close to it, which I think is like 7 or 7:30. Anyhow, this picturesque area offers great beaches, a lush jungle, and its cliffside mountain areas boast beautiful, beautiful ocean views. Now, I'm going to mention that Quepos it's the main town that serves Manuel Antonio and the other areas. So if basically nobody really lives in Manuel Antonio, it's more of a tourist area because of the park. If you live and work in this area, you live in Quepos, not Manuel Antonio. And there's a very tall mountain that is in between the two towns. When I was living there, I lived like almost all the way up the mountain in between the two towns. So if you're booking a hotel, do not book in Quepos. It's fine to go there to eat or to do a little bit of shopping, but I'd say in photos, they show really pretty pictures of the harbor, but I wouldn't stay there. I would stay in the General Manuel Antonio area. It's much safer and it's much prettier. Um, so like I mentioned, there are a variety of wedding venues, mostly all overlooking the ocean. There are some fantastic places to get married here. And it has well-paved roads and it's easily accessible. And you're gonna see some really lush green jungles with golden sand beaches here. Now, like I mentioned, rainfall is prominent from April until December. And now that I'm thinking, I didn't mention that dry season in general in Costa Rica, except for the Caribbean, is so it's like mid-December until beginning of April or May. And I mean, during that period of time, we usually, I mean, in Guanacaste at least, we don't see a single drop of rain. But in the mid-Pacific, there is some rainfall even during the dry season. But the difference is in that Guanacaste, there's nada. It's totally dry. All right, our next town is, let's see if it's gonna switch. Let me see, come on, there we go. Oh, I think I went too far. Yeah, I did. All right, the Caribbean coast. So it's got a totally different vibe than the rest of the country. So Puerto Viejo and Cahuita are the two recommended towns. They're right next to each other. Cahuita is small, quiet, it's more residential. And so if you're going, you probably want to stay in Puerto Viejo. And it's located in the province of Limon. So Limon itself, the town of Limon, is not safe. I would not recommend going there. It is where the, not the ferries, the cruise ships come in. But I just do want to point that out. Overall, Costa Rica is extremely, extremely safe, and you can feel comfortable pretty much anywhere. But I do want to point out that Limon is not a place that I recommend going to if you are a tourist. So it's, I'd say in general, exotic paradise, and it's less crowded and it's a little bit more rustic. People tend to really love this area if they're into that very, if they're into that Caribbean vibe. And note that it does have opposite weather pattern from the rest of the country. So it rains all year long here, just FYI, but the driest times of the year are September and October, which is the opposite of the other side of the country. So mountainous region. So I recommended that this is a great spot to go to. I wouldn't take your, well, I was going to say I wouldn't take your wedding guests there, but it's a fantastic location for a wedding, but it's a little bit cold. And so what I love is that I live in Guanacaste where it's really hot. And so I love going to these mountainous regions to get a taste of something different. So it's awesome for a wedding and it is awesome for your honeymoon. But I just want to point out that if you're taking your guests here for their wedding, I recommend you tell them to head over to a beach town for a little bit, because if you take them here and don't mention that, they're going to be like, well, I wanted to see the beach. That's all I see when I hear about Costa Rica. That's all I pin on Pinterest. So just FYI, I recommend a mountain region, and then I recommend a beach region. So La Fortuna is freaking awesome. I love going there. I've been there a few times now. It is home to the inactive Arenal volcano, and it's located in the Alajuela province. So in La Fortuna, there's a lot to do there. There's a lot of hiking. There's a lot of zip lining. There are tons of hotels, because I don't know the exact year when when the Arenal volcano became inactive, but up until then, there was this huge boom, tons of business. It's pretty cool because a lot of the hotel rooms face the volcano, and you can lay in bed and watch the volcano. And back in the day, you used to see it spitting out hot rocks, which was really neat at night. And unfortunately now, even though it's stunning, beautiful. It's not the same as seeing an active volcano. So Monteverde Cloud Forest is also located in the mountainous region, but it is in the Punta Arenas province. And this is a really cool spot too. Lots of hiking. It's really interesting because you're driving and you realize you're driving through a forest, hence the name. So there's a lot of zip lining too. They're different but similar in certain ways. Monteverde is a bit smaller than La Fortuna, but both are really, really great places to visit. Especially La Fortuna has some beautiful, really exclusive high-end hotels that are perfect for a wedding. Both are about 2.5 hours from the San Jose airport, and they're great for groups that are adventurous and love the outdoors. And it is somewhat remote, so all of your providers are going to be coming from San Jose, so keep that in mind. They're not going to be super local. So I think that is all I've got. Yep, that is. So that concludes my presentation on the locations you should head to for your wedding and for your honeymoon. If you have any questions about any of these places, if you are looking for a hotel recommendation or fun things to do or restaurants to head to or a wedding venue recommendation, please reply to the email I sent out or send me a DM and let me know. I'd love to help you. Thanks, guys. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 3.